What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Scale It podcast. Today we have Eric Sanchez. He's a good friend of mine. He's an entrepreneur. He's an attorney. Today we're going to talk about his wins, setbacks, and mindset to grow a business. And he's got a couple things going on, so we're going to learn a ton from him. So, Eric, welcome.
Christian,
thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome to have you. So, tell us a little bit about how you got into. We'll start with the law. So, kind of give us a little background about yourself and how you made it here.
Well, I, have been really fascinated with the law since I was probably about a sophomore in high school.
Nice.
I'd say. I took a constitutional law class, which for most people probably would be a boring class, but for whatever reason, that was, growing up, the first love of my life was just playing baseball, and I just was obsessed with playing baseball. And I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I was not that good of a student.
Really?
Growing up. No.
Interesting.
And then I take a class, constitutional law. I'm like, man, I like this stuff. This is really interesting. I was able to
like a specific subject you actually didn't mind studying.
Yeah. And I could remember things,
nice.
Pick up things. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is something that I could see myself doing, studying, going to school, becoming an attorney, going to law school.
Right.
Probably the best grade I ever got in high school was that class. So I was like, you know what? I could see myself doing this. And so then I took a break when I got my bachelor's degree, and between law school, I took about a year and a half. And I figured that time, why not work in a law firm, see how it's like.
Smart.
Just to make sure that this is the decision I want to make.
Very smart.
Because listen,
that's a nugget right there.
Yeah, because look, man, I mean, there's a lot of people that go to school and they get a degree and then they never work on what they get the degree on. And then you have student loans that you got to pay back for something that you're not working on. So I was like, you know what? Let me just make sure. Let me go through it. And I did that for about a year and a few months. I loved it. Man,
it's like the bug got you. Wow, okay.
Yeah, it got me, and one of the partners, because they were great to let me basically shadow them wherever they went, and so one of the partners, he did personal injury, and I just was really gravitated to what he did, really was fascinated, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a personal injury attorney. So I go to law school. I went to law school in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
A school called Southern University Law Center. I graduated from there. I knew I wanted to come back. And so I came back and I started my own firm. That was not something that I expected to do.
Yeah.
But, the chips fell where they were,
right.
And I was like, you know what? This is the best thing for me. Rather than work for somebody, let me go ahead and start working on my own firm. It's going to be tough the first few years. Yeah. But I said, you know what? Let me do it, and it's paid off. So I'm grateful to have the firm and the work and what I like to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just to circle back, because you mentioned something that I've found as a common thread as I've done more and more of these. You mentioned that there was somewhat of a mentor figure at the onset there that you were shadowing and training under. Talk a little bit about that experience and then how important that is just in developing as a professional, whatever the industry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, mentors I think are extremely important. This guy, he was a very interesting character.
Aren't they all?
Oh, yeah. Really, what's the word that I would use to describe him? Very outgoing Cuban guy that, he was just what we lovingly called him jodedor.
Okay.
Because that's just his personality. But, I realize now that is the type of personality you need to do personal injury. Because there's a lot of things that you need to stick to your guns with clients, representing them. But the guy was really gracious with me, took me under his wing. I still, to this day, when I have questions, I ask him because,
nice.
I'm still relatively new compared to him having over 30 years of experience in this.
Yeah.
So I'll pick his brain on stuff, every now and then, hey, this came up in my case. Like, what do you think? What do you think I should do? And he, makes himself available. He's a busy guy, so I don't abuse it at all. But when there's something that I just need some help, because I'll make sure that I'll do like my own research, and then they'll say, listen, this came up. I saw this. Like, what do you think? But listen, having a mentor is extremely important, especially for young attorneys. I try to do that where I can with attorneys that are just graduating from law school, just took the bar. But man, it's just super instrumental.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so talking about the actual breaking out and doing it on your own, let's talk a little bit about how that looked like in the first. How long have you been in business now at this point?
10 years.
10 years. So let's talk about the early days. Walk me through. Let's start at the beginning. How did that go, and how were those years?
Well, challenging it was because here I am, a brand spanking new attorney, and I don't have connections.
Just moved back.
So it took a bit to build up. I had to take anything that went through the door,
right?
Because I knew that I wanted to do personal injury, but let's face it, which client wants to trust their case into a brand spanking new attorney's hands?
That's what a lot of professionals run into in general. It's a common objection.
So I needed to basically do anything that came through the door. So I started like doing evictions. I had an attorney who I was sharing office space with. We actually became licensed at the same time. And he said, well, what do you think about doing title? I was like, listen, I just need money. Sure, why not?
I need a client, man.
Well, I was like, well, why not? And he had like the build, like the stream for me to do it. So I was like, why not? And so I became very familiar with working like title, clearing up title. Did that for, I want to say the better part of 6 or 7 years. Through my firm.
Right.
And so also took like business litigation cases as well. So I just had to make sure I built up the business to accept any cases. And thankfully, for any attorneys that they hang their own shingle and then they want to specialize in something, as you continue to build up your clientele, as you make the connections, it's easier to weigh off what you can and can't do. So there are some things that I did in the beginning that I don't do anymore.
Sure.
But I take advantage of what I've learned during that time to take cases that don't directly involve personal injury.
Yeah.
But the bulk of my cases now are thankfully personal injury. That's what I have been taking on since.
Right. So you kind of build in as you grow, as you get a little more experience under your belt, you're able to be a little more selective. And that's important too, because there's I don't know about law firms, but I'll speak to in the claims public adjusting firms. There's firms that do like junk volume, and they'll just take it all. We'll take it all, and it's like some are nothing, some are not shouldn't be claims to begin with. So it's that's one model, but longevity is being selective and almost boutique. And I like it's kind of a fancy word, but it's like boutique firm. But so let's talk a little bit about misconceptions that entrepreneurs have when they're kind of breaking into it, and I'll open with one. I think it's dispelled, but I when I went into it, it was like, I'm gonna work less, work my own schedule, be my own schedule. What are some things that you learned quickly that maybe that you had in mind that it really is a little different?
A common misconception, I can tell you that along with my law school classmates, is that you're going to have a BMW right away, that you're just going to be rolling in money. Money's going to be coming down like manna from heaven, and it is not like that at all. And you really got to like doing this, because I don't remember the statistic now. I remember in my first few years that I want to say only 33% of attorneys that are licensed after 10 years, they still continue practicing.
Wow.
Yeah, because this is tough. This is not what everybody can do.
Especially like trial
especially
trial heavy, like personal injury is very trial heavy. From my understanding,
well,
I would imagine.
Well,
you got pretrial settlements.
there are pre-trial. Most cases they settle for the
Yeah.
most part.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
not many cases go to trial these
Oh,
days.
okay.
I want to say I don't know what the exact statistic is,
Sure.
but anywhere from 98 to 99% of cases settle. It's those
Wow.
1 to 2% that
But those are like, that's how those are the nuclear verdicts and crazy stuff. Crazy
could
stuff.
be, yeah, could be, but you know, the thing about those is you got to be comfortable with working long hours on the weekends. Not everybody's willing to do that. When you have a trial coming up, your weekend is gone.
Yeah.
Your weekend is the office because you have to prepare an opening. You have to prepare cross and direct examinations. You have to prepare a closing
And
statement.
it's not, there's no like winging it. Like,
Oh, no.
like there's not, you cannot.
Oh, no.
Cannot.
Oh, no.
You'll get picked apart. Like,
Because also what happens is that defense counsels, there's some really good defense counsels out
sure.
there. And
of course. Of course.
and if you're not prepared,
they're going to eat you alive. No, I can imagine. I can imagine.
unfortunately, who takes the brunt of that is the client.
Right.
And then you have a
Right.
frustrated client
Right.
who was like, my attorney didn't prepare for my case.
Right.
So you gotta be willing to do that. It's the good thing for me is it doesn't happen all the time because, like I said, most cases settle.
Sure.
But those 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year that a case has to go to trial, you got to be willing to do it.
Wow.
And there's no there's no and or buts.
Yeah,
and
ifs, or buts. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Man. Wow. Wow. So tell me a little bit about how you've approached actually building, maybe you have unique ways of doing this, but at your law firm, staffing, building a team, what does that look like for you? I know a lot of law firms are offices, traditional still in the workspace. Do you utilize like virtual assistants? Like how does that work for you? What does your workflow look like?
Yeah, I've lot of these days. I think the more modern firms use virtual assistants more
Yeah.
than anything else. Which I use. Also, it helps having someone there in person.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I've had that in the past. What I do, and I think a lot of other attorneys do as well, is sharing office spaces. Huge.
Oh,
Huge. Yep.
smart.
Because you know what it is? Listen, there's just so much overhead.
Yeah.
Between rent,
Yeah.
between copy machines, between paper, between, office supplies, furniture. It
racks up, man.
It
Yeah.
racks up. So, especially if you're a new attorney, sharing office space, I can't tell you how important that is.
Yeah.
So that for me, thankfully, I got a really nice setup. And not only that, I share office space with other attorneys.
Okay.
So I get to also pick their brains sometimes.
Workshop. Yeah, man.
And not only that, I've worked like class action lawsuits with them, other lawsuits with them. So it's
Also
mutually
shared business as well. Ooh, nice.
correct. Not all the time.
Yeah, sure.
But-
But there's opportunity there.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a built-in cost. Overhead plus a little bit of marketing, networking. I love those. I call those parlays, man. With those expenses,
Mm-hmm.
this is one of those, man. Like this is a creative networking. It does it all, man. So cool stuff. So let's talk about you have another venture.
Yeah.
What's the name of the title company? Right. You have a title company as well.
Called Guardian Title.
Okay.
And
So tell
that-
me how you kind of broke into that. Like, what was the? I know you have the experience with it, so is that kind of the inspiration? Yeah.
Yeah, because I did it in the beginning, and trust me, if you had told me that I was doing this, I probably would have been like, "Why?" But I became so familiar with it. It's like when you learn something and it's so easy for you, why give that up?
Right.
So I partnered with someone who we both work on just bringing the flow of cases. We've hired personnel that helps with that as well.
Nice.
With helping with the because listen, it's hard to run a title company and a law firm at the same time.
Of course. Yeah.
So having someone who can
you need to be able to put some of that work. You can't take it all on.
and you got to trust them.
Right.
That's
of
the other
course,
thing
of
too.
course.
And you got to trust that they're going to do the work. And so it's worked out to where we've hired personnel that's helped out in that department a lot. Because not only do they have to help you with the workload, they have to generate income for the business so that you're just not paying someone's payroll.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
got to be. So because of the knowledge I still have with regards to title, I still do the legal work that's required because all files do require some minimal, some require a lot. It just
of course.
depends.
But you're capable. You've done it, so it's there.
Correct.
That's smart. So actually, you made me think about. I had shout out Carl Christian. He's a super talented real estate agent, entrepreneur. Really, the conversation was very enlightening, and he basically is operating similar to us. He's doing that on a more scale. He has like 6-7 companies, and he's running his real estate brokerage, but all these other companies, he just has the expert that he trusts that handles title. He has one in construction. He just builds this network of people that can execute, you can trust, and you can build these businesses. So when you told me that you had the second business, I love that because that's what it's all about, man. It's very entrepreneurial, very entrepreneurial. So let's talk a little bit about market trends in law and what you're kind of seeing coming down the pike. I think we spoke about some legislative changes. We both took some gut punches over the past couple of years. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny I mentioned my mentor because, man, he was a little bit bleak.
Yeah.
He was like, man, like, I'm just wondering if they want me to practice law. Like
I hear that, man.
It has made it very difficult. The good thing is that you could still, like, you gotta find a way to adjust.
Sure.
That's just, I think life is just something that you always have to adjust to because there's some things that come up and you either
it's adapt or die, man.
That's the thing I was about to say. It's adapt or die.
Yeah.
So I've been, and because it's still so recent, it's only been 2 years. You think 2 years, but it's just because the cases that you pick up sometimes take a while to work up because the client has to get treatment, between the time that happens and, you start the litigation, there's discovery. And so they've made it really hard in my field in personal injury for clinics to stay alive. They really have. So now it's just a matter of adapting to the changes, and I think when we spoke on the phone, I mentioned that now if a client doesn't have insurance, health insurance, right, then the automatic thing that's done is that you use the reimbursement rate that Medicare provides. So they have 120% reimbursement rate for any medical bills. So that obligates these clinics to reduce their medical bills automatically to the reimbursement rate. And then you got to have an expert, which costs more for the client because, listen, I get paid by contingency.
Right.
Like I don't get paid until either we settle or we win a trial.
Right.
So now there's an additional expert that I need to bring in that costs the client more money to explain why the bills are reasonable.
Yeah.
Because that's by law, especially when you go to trial, you have to attest that the treatment was medically necessary and that the bills are reasonable. So
reasonable is such, and that comes into claims as well. Reasonable, and it's a very mercurial word,
Correct.
And subjective. So
correct.
That can be challenging.
Correct.
So trends have made it a little, and we, claims professionals in Florida, but it's, the opportunity's still there, but it's just difficult, right? It's more difficult, and similar thing. Mm-hmm. What would you say? You mentioned it. You got to adapt. What does that look like for you guys, in terms of adapting to those changes?
Understanding what the changes are, because there is a lot that change, such as when you make demands, bad faith, and bad faith. Just to not to go too much into the weeds, but basically, basically, and I think it applies in your industry too. When insurer is presented a claim, is presented a demand, and they know that they're going to need to pay out the amount. You give them the logical reasoning for it. They refuse. Then if there's an excess judgment against the insured, then you can have the insured sign away their right to sue their insurer by giving the claim to you, and in exchange, you kind of dismiss the insured and you go after the insurer respectfully. There have been changes made with regards to when you can make a demand, and so that has left us with trying to understand what the new process is, because this is a different way of doing
Right.
demands, filing lawsuits,
Right.
presenting proposal for settlements. Which
Right.
it's funny because in your industry, I actually had a one-to-one with someone who is a property damage
Yeah.
attorney, and so now they've had to utilize more what's called proposal for
Those-
settlements.
Yeah.
To try
That
to
can
get them on
trigger
the
the
hook.
bad faith if they. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
not only that, but in your field, for example, you know how they eliminated the contingency for, or eliminated the attorney's fees provision for insurance companies to
Right.
pay if there's a judgment or
Yeah, it used to
settlement.
be like a percentage rule. I think that's, I don't know if they're using that, or that was how it was before.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So now with the proposal for settlement, you say this is a demand, and if it's 25%, if the judgment is 25% over that proposal for settlement,
Right.
they're on the hook for attorney's fees.
Right. And so for those who know, very useful information and claims the professionals for the actual policyholders. What does that shape up to? Because on our side, like, what it's really felt like is, you know, for one thing, as a consumer myself, premiums have still gone up and the policies seem to suck more and more. So there's that. But in terms of, you know, how this has impacted and impacting policyholders, do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's something that maybe it's a pendulum that swings back to some sort of semblance of balance, or is it just going to keep swinging more towards the insurance companies?
That's a good question. You would think with rates not going down,
Yeah,
because
something's got to give. I mean,
something
shit.
something's got to give. I know that property insurance rates are not going down. Car insurance rates are not going down. They're going up. And so eventually someone has to have a come to Jesus moment and say, listen, I mean, you guys claimed we needed to do this. We did it.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just
And
crazy to me.
is it similar, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
sorry, but is it similar where, you know, policies on the property side are becoming more restrictive, more caps, less resolution options? Like, are policies on your side getting more stringent, or is it more just behavior, like the insurance companies don't have much fear of recourse?
I think fear of recourse is one, but I also think that they have been, I've heard, and I haven't experienced this just yet, but I've heard from other attorneys that they're willing to drop you, like, altogether. Like, if there's a claim, if you file a claim, they're willing to drop you. Like,
So they can, technically, right? They're not
I guess they're
not permitted to drop you just because you filed a claim. No. They can explain it away with something else, but they can't say, like, hey, you filed the claim and we're dropping you.
Yeah.
They can't legally say that, I don't believe.
No.
You're the attorney. I don't know.
But I think that what they try to do is they try to use some sort of clause to find something else that justifies it. Oh, and by the way, you also filed the claim.
Right.
Try to.
Yeah.
So I think it's in both that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think at some point there has to be a come to Jesus moment to say, listen, I mean, it's not working. We got to.
Yeah.
This system that you guys, or, you know, these set of rules that we implemented because you guys said would help lower rates, it's not.
Right.
So maybe we should go back, and then you guys need to adjust.
Right.
I'm talking about they being the insurers.
Insurance company, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's talk a little bit just about goal setting, kind of how to not just set the goal, but what are, like, action steps that you kind of do that are non-negotiables is what I classify them as. Like, what are the things that entrepreneurs need to have and be doing in order to really build something and have longevity in a career? Because 10 years and counting is a long time, man. So share some bits. What do you got for us?
Well, I think you gotta, you know, and this may be a little bit too meticulous and not, like, fascinating for most people. No, not lawyery, but I think you gotta have a budget, and you gotta have you gotta make sure what your costs are, what your income is. Also for me is just getting better, learning. You know, I'll go to classes or conventions or something like that to just be better and up to date.
Lifelong learner.
Figure out how to navigate with the changes in the law as well. You know, I've gone to, like, class action forums because that's something that I want to start taking on more cases. So, I'll do more of the lifelong learner. The good thing is that I'm already obligated to do continuing legal education anyways.
Okay.
So it works. I kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Right.
So, and also having someone who you can bounce ideas off of, I can't speak enough of, like, how important that is.
Do you have partners, or is it
Just me.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason you haven't?
Well,
Is there ego? Is the
no.
ego, not your ego, but just egos? Too many cooks in the kitchen, sort of thing. Does it get difficult there?
No, I think it's like, and I'm not married. I don't know if you're married, but I think it's like you have to kind of think about it as a marriage. It's a business marriage if you think about it.
Yes.
So it's got to be someone who's compatible with you, has the same goals, and I think it's difficult to find someone who you can partner with that has those same goals. And then, and this is just in my background. Like my father, like, in his business, he had a partner. It didn't work out. And then the firm that I worked at, they had 3 partners. It didn't work out. So I was like, it's probably better to just.
So you kind of saw those and you were like, all right, let me do it. Yeah. That makes sense. Fair enough. Eric, it's just about time for us to get you out of here. I want to open this up, let you talk to the people, let them know what you got going on. Before you do, actually, next 5 years, what do you got? What do you think goal wise? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your kind of 5-year vision for the businesses?
Well, for the law firm, I'd certainly would love to take on more class action lawsuits. I've got one under my belt already, which was a really good experience.
Yes, sir. Those are like top, like it's going to be heavy.
Yeah. So what's unfortunate is that a lot of these companies, they've made it difficult with having class action provision clauses, which, they want to take things to arbitration. So it's made it a little bit hard. But listen, I'm always going to be on the lookout for them.
Yeah, of course.
So would love to, take on at least a few more.
Nice.
Continue to help out the citizens of Miami with regards to any car accidents, slip and falls, injuries that they sustain due to someone else's fault. I like helping my clients out. And one of the happiest days of my profession has always been like, taking a case to trial and having a successful outcome for my client. Having them be very happy, very pleased. It reaffirms why you do what you do. Yeah. So, I think those are my goals. Just, I'm very happy that, like I said in the beginning, it was tough sledding, but now the more you do this, you understand, okay, which cases should I take on? Right. Which cases should I not take on?
Strategic.
Which cases should go to trial? Which cases should not? But I think also the important thing is, and I'm sure with you, is that you got to be upfront and honest with the client. And the client has to align with your goals.
Yes.
The day that doesn't happen, you got to separate. Because if not, then you have a bitter client and it gets difficult.
Yeah,
but I think being honest and being open is extremely important, and that's the way you get ahead. Yeah. People that aren't, they may be successful for a while, but then towards the end, who wants to do business with you?
Yeah, unsustainable.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, that was guys, thank you so much for coming in, Eric. It's been awesome. Next time we got to get you in. We got Ronar, the producer. We're going to do a baseball podcast, and we're going to let you guys nerd out about it. So we're definitely going to have you back. We're going to have you back, but that's all for now. Eric, thank you again for coming in, man. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Beautiful.